Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect.
It's Toruk, the first podcast.
That's right.
And there are no lines. Right.
No, not really.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
My name is David Sims.
This is a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David.
That's right.
We are hashtag the two friends.
That's right.
We do miniseries
That's right.
about directors who early on had massive successes.
That's right.
And then get a series of, I don't know what, blank checks, one might say?
One might. I was feeling a little saucy that day.
Yeah, to do their own creative projects. Sometimes those checks bounce. And sometimes those checks deposit.
Slow it down.
I'm trying to get saucy now. This is a miniseries called Podinator: Judgment Cast.
That's the name of the miniseries.
It is a miniseries about James Cameron.
We have been talking about James Cameron.
Yes. Now, you and I have only been talking about him for 2 episodes.
We're doing this a little early. This is our bonus episode. It's going to come at the end.
Yeah.
But we had to get on mic right away.
Extreme circumstances call for extreme measures.
Yeah.
Okay? And on September 11th, 2016, never forget, something came up. Okay?
Something came up, yeah.
At that time, we had only recorded
We
Piranha
talked
2
about
The Spawning.
Piranha 2 and The Terminator. Yeah.
Right. And usually we like to save the bonus for the end so that we can come up with our final thoughts or in summation about the filmmaker.
Oh, my God.
But something flew into New York City.
Yep. On orange wings.
It wasn't a plane, thank God.
No, Jesus. Oh,
It would have been too soon.
No, come on.
It would have been too soon.
I don't endorse that joke.
It would have been. I'm not joking. It would have been too soon for that to happen.
I don't think it's funny. Move on.
I don't either. A dragon flew into New York City.
That is right.
A dragon by the name of Toruk, and it was his first flight.
Toruk.
I keep on getting confused with Toruk
Toruk,
the
the dinosaur hunter, who is an N64 computer game hero.
Yeah.
Toruk is a big orange dragon thing.
Hero, villain, or both?
Both.
That's
both.
what the show questions. A Cirque du Soleil inspired show that functions.
It's an Avatar-inspired show. It is a Cirque du
You're
Soleil
right.
show. I mean, I assume they inspire themselves regularly.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the creative process for them.
Yeah.
And also, I'll say this felt a little more like a Cirque du Soleil inspired show than a Cirque du Soleil show.
It felt like a show-inspired thing. Like, I wouldn't go as far as to call it a show in some respects.
It was definitely inspired by entertainment.
Yeah, it was brushing up against entertainment. You know, it was coming up to the border of something entertaining.
Yes.
And then just stopping.
Right.
Turning around.
So
maybe sitting down.
I felt like this was an omen.
Well, okay, so I should say a few weeks back, a friend of the pod, Esther Zuckerman, who talked Aloha with us a while back, she IM'd me in the morning and said, David, the Cirque du Soleil has a show. It's based on Avatar. It's called Toruk, the First Flight, and it's going to be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, in September.
What perfect timing. We're doing a James Cameron miniseries.
You should
what perfect
go.
timing.
You should go.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. No. To Esther.
Uh-huh.
And she said, okay, great. I'm going to tell Griffin right away.
Which she
and
did.
He's going to make you do it.
Which she did.
And
she
did,
knew.
and she knew you would.
Yep.
And she knew that once you knew I didn't want to do it, you would only be more resolute that we had to do it.
Well, that's what we call a grift bit.
Exactly.
My friends have long called it a grift bit when there's something that I find very amusing that only angers everyone else.
Right.
And then
it has to happen.
And then maybe months down the line, people laugh at it in retrospect.
Like, all right, it's pretty funny that you did that.
But in the moment, no one likes it.
No.
Yeah.
I was pretty unhappy about it. I did not want to go to the Barclays Center, certainly not on September 11th. 2016.
Well, it was a little too soon.
It was
just because
it'll always be too soon to see this show.
We're early in our miniseries. It's a little too soon because we usually record the bonus after.
But I'll tell you what.
I publicly shamed you.
You publicly shamed me, but here's what happened, really.
Yeah. Something big happened.
Well, a lot of things happened. We'll get to that. But no, it's more like, I was like, well, why would we even go? James Cameron didn't even direct it. No, I'll introduce her. I'll introduce her.
Okay, because I'm going to do a segue. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, James Cameron didn't even direct it, and you were like, the bonus episodes are never about something that the person directed.
Animatrix.
Buried Secret of M. Night Shyamalan. And I was like, fuck, he's right.
Roadies Cameron only directed half the season.
Well, yeah, that was
kind of a bonus.
No, whatever.
Whatever.
Anyway, so So we went. All right. What's your segue?
And then there was something else that got you excited.
There actually was something else that got me really excited.
One of the greatest friends of this podcast.
Absolutely.
The first guest we ever had.
Is that true?
That is true.
Really?
Is that true?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. We had Connor Ratliff on season 1.
We had Connor Ratliff. Yeah. But
you were the second
one of
guest
our
we ever had.
earliest guests.
Good company.
And best buds.
Yes.
And
yeah, one of my absolute
trivia-
favorite people in the world.
Yep.
Old trivia cohorts of ours.
And
part of a
Anakin
two-time
Padme
champion.
Ultra shipper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And big James Cameron fan.
Sure.
Huge James Cameron fan.
Huge Aliens
Love
fan.
him.
Yeah.
Huge Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney.
Sigourney. I hit her name weird there.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver fan.
Formerly Susan Weaver, as you all probably know.
Absolutely.
I mean, what a good choice.
Yeah.
The great, the amazing, the effervescent Rachel Lang is here.
She is here, and she was here at the Barclays Center with us.
Because
and a couple other folks.
We were publicly arguing about this on Twitter. She said, "Oh my God, I would go with you guys. When are you going? I'll buy tickets."
And then I didn't buy tickets. I said I would buy David a ticket, and then I didn't.
You were in there. Well, look, I got to Venmo you $50.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all went along with the wonderful Alex Pitts.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And Ramona Head.
True.
Who was also part of our winning trivia team.
That's right.
And
somebody else.
Someone else, huh?
I'm going to tap my chin.
Huh. God. You know what? It's funny. I can remember the face because I remember looking and seeing someone leaning forward on the edge of their seat.
Oh, man. What a great picture. I have
hand
it
on
in my
their
phone.
chin. We'll tweet it out from the account once this episode comes out. We should save it until then.
I'll remember to tweet it out 11 weeks from now or whatever. Great.
And just wrapped, eyes open, like a child, transported into a greater world. For once, he wasn't working. Because we all know him as one of the hardest workers in the business, right?
Absolutely.
For once, he was enjoying the art himself rather than creating the art.
And for once, he wasn't, as he constantly is watching a movie because he's our finest film critic.
He is our finest film critic.
Is he our finest circus critic? We'll find out.
He might be.
Like a good circus.
He is the producer of the show. Some call him Producer Ben, some call him Producer Ben, some call her the Banducer, some call him...
Her the Banducer, wow.
Some call her the... look, gender is fluid. Some call him Mr. Positive, some call him the Tiebreaker, some call him Birthday Benny, some call him the Fuckmaster. They do not call him Professor Crispy.
Nope.
They do call him the Poet Laureate.
Sometimes.
They do call him White Hot Benny, which is a new one that we're sort of trying out.
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that one?
White Hot Benny, it feels a little racial to me.
Interesting. Didn't even put that together, but now that you say it, I can't unthink it. So there's that.
That's my problem. I thought of it, and now I can't. It feels a little charged to me. We're living in extraordinary times.
Sensitive times, yeah.
It's very sensitive times. Of course, he has graduated to certain titles over various miniseries.
That is true.
Such as Kylo Ben, producer Ben Kenobi.
Kenobi.
Ben Night Shyamalan, Ben Say. And
he's going to have, and Benny Lane.
Yeah.
He's going to have a Cameron name, but we are not even close to figuring out that yet.
No, we'll do that one episode before the episode you're listening to.
Probably.
Also, there is a vocal contingent that is arguing for a recount, and they want it to be, say, Bennything instead. So, keep that flame going.
Yeah, I mean, if I get enough tweets about it, then I might care.
Yeah. Producer Ben.
Hey, guys.
Wish him a hearty hello, Fennel.
Please do. You can always say hello to me on the streets.
So,
but I was there, and
you were there. Me and Ben hung out in the Oculus, which is the
yes.
front of the Barclays Center, and Rachel for a good 45 minutes while Griffin was late because the 5 train was being weird or something.
Correct.
Yeah,
I didn't oversleep that day. I was wide awake.
You were wide awake.
In the words of M. Night Shyamalan.
In the words of M. Night.
But we went to see the show,
and then we went to see Toruk, the First Flight, a Cirque du Soleil jam. A touring production.
It's a touring production.
At the Barclays Center, inspired by the film Avatar, but set a good 3,000 years.
Inspired by James Cameron's.
That's very true.
Film Avatar.
James Cameron's Avatar.
Yes.
Sure, you're talking about the actual, here.
The full title of the show is Turok, the First Flight, inspired by James Cameron's Avatar.
All right. Well, good for them.
A Cirque du Soleil experience.
Yeah. You are so excited to be looking things up on your computer
Oh,
right
my God.
now.
So, guys, I have wired internet today. Wired through a wire.
We're not complaining about Wi-Fi anymore because
no way, baby.
David's got a dongle.
And I probably will again bring that up many episodes earlier, but whatever. This is the first time it's actually happening.
Now let's talk about the most important element of the show. Steven the Ticket Taker.
So Steven's a big deal. For one, I actually want to say, all right, I've been to the Barclays Center many times because I go to a lot of basketball games, and it's cheap. I'm not a Nets fan, but it's cheap and it's near where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of you guys had ever been to the Barclays Center before.
I saw Yeah Yeah Yeah's concert there.
Okay, cool.
Before.
Oh, wow, they can fill an arena? Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty full.
Yeah.
It was a sacrilege tour.
Yeah.
I went with my sister around.
Yeah.
I have a Yeah Yeah Yeah's t-shirt that now is kind of a sleeping shirt because it's been so long.
Rachel, you have to say it 2 more times now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now Beetlejuice has been summoned.
Great. Beetlejuice is going to be our guest on the Terminator 2 episode.
Yeah.
No, okay, so
I've Vista, baby.
I've always been totally impressed with their service at the Barclays Center. I think it's a well-run place. But I got to say, Steven, second to none.
Unbelievable. So we hear the show is starting.
Oh, we hear the show is starting because Griffin is super late.
Correct.
And as we walk into the arena where it's like...
Shrieking
like,
and drums, yeah.
I asked everyone to get there 45 minutes before the show so we could record our audio.
And we did.
Which, of course, meant that I got there 45 minutes after I said I was going to be there right as the show was starting.
Exactly.
There's a very long will call line.
Yeah, that's true. So you had to get in the will call line because you had booked online.
Right. And it's like, oh, fuck, I hear the show starting. I got my tickets. Okay, everyone come in. You go through security. We go to Steven the ticket taker. And he goes, I'm sorry, these seats no longer exist. You have to get your seats exchanged.
Right. And we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, we just need to
Steven,
get in
are
there.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it wasn't Steven who said... Oh, no, it was Steven. It was Steven. Yeah.
Fucking Steven. I gave him a little sass because at this point I was stressed out because I was
You didn't say fucking Steven, though.
No, but I was like, I just picked these tickets up.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I know, I'm sorry, you got to go back.
Right.
And I'm hearing like, right.
Behind the black curtains.
Right.
Like they had like screened off the stage.
Da-na!
That's what, yeah, right, okay.
Except they didn't do
that.
They
didn't do the James Horner score. I don't
they
think
did more of a
da-na!
like it was like the Survivor theme. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh God, go back to the counter.
Because we're gonna miss it, and we're gonna be lost.
Yeah,
we're gonna miss the beginning of the story.
To be fair, we did miss the beginning, and we were kind of lost.
Yeah.
But do you think that would have helped?
No,
I don't know.
Do not.
No, I don't think so.
No.
We did miss like the first 5 minutes of the show.
They don't even have coming attractions.
No, which was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have had some coming.
They should have had some trailers. For Doctor Strange. I'm like, does Steven even know what he's talking about? I just picked these tickets up. How could they be exchanged if the person just handed to me off the computer, right?
Sure.
So I go and I'm like,
we walk over to the ticket desk,
and
and we're like,
this guy
we
said,
were in section 222.
We got the cheapest tickets we possibly
which
could.
is a nosebleed seat,
Nosebleed.
right up at the top,
The very top.
3 decks up, or
the
whatever.
tippy top.
Yeah.
And I go like, he said I need to exchange my tickets. I don't know what this fucking guy's talking about.
Right.
She was like, okay, yeah. And what clearly happened was
we closed that section.
The show undersold. So they
they did undersell.
They took everyone in the nosebleeds and pushed them into one section, and 90% of the nosebleeds were completely vacant.
Yeah.
And there was one section that everyone was crammed into. And they were like, overflow of the nosebleeds now that we don't want staff roaming the rest of it.
Right.
Here are your new tickets. Row 9.
Yeah. Courtside.
We're suddenly fucking courtside.
Yeah. We have like $1,500 tickets.
And I went up and I was like, Steven, thank you.
Steven was like, see, they're much better.
But Steven, before he even said that, he went, whoa.
Yeah, he was impressed.
Because he thought we were going to get upgraded to like second tier.
Right.
At best.
He was overjoyed for us. I've never felt like someone else was happier for like our fortune than I did there with Steven.
No, and I've never felt happier to have someone in my life than I did to have Steven at that moment.
Right.
So we now sit down.
We sit down, row 9. The show is underway.
Very much so.
Ramona is lit. She somehow has already like consumed a couple gin and tonics.
Yeah, our friend Ramona is very drunk at this point. He's wearing a sweater.
Rachel and Alex, you guys are having a good time.
I was odd.
I was sitting in between. Yeah, you were odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not odd.
Oh, I am. Yeah.
You are a little odd.
I am
but
odd,
aren't we
but
all?
I was also odd.
So we walk in, and it was pretty. It was also because, again, there were black curtains around the stage.
Yeah.
So, like, at a basketball game, when you walk in, you can see the court, it's like everything's open, but they blacked it all out. And so when we walk in, it's like we're being transported into another world.
Yeah.
The world of Pandora.
Lang, would you like to sort of describe what we see when we walk in a general sense, what the show looks like?
Yeah, I mean, you're going through those black curtains, and then it's totally black in the stands as well, and someone is ushering you down, and you turn toward the stage, and it's a full basketball court covered in like paper mache and projected lights.
Lots of projected scenery.
You could tell that they didn't really want to like paint or build too many things, and instead used lights to make those colors and effects, which worked for me quite a lot. They had a giant tree, which was not the tree of life or spirits or
well, no, it was a
tree.
home tree. It was a home tree,
right?
The big tree.
And that tree.
Then there's also the what's it called? The soul tree. What the fuck is
mother tree or whatever it's called?
Jesus, how do we already not remember?
It was house or
it was house.
Yeah.
yeah.
But the tree is sort of like almost functions as the curtain. Like it opens up when they need like scene changes. And then there's like a couple sculptural pieces that can transform.
Sure.
But there's a lot of like projection.
There's this big ring of wood hanging from the ceiling.
It's like a wooden,
It's like a wooden crown.
And there's like a center pillar that everyone sort of dances on at some point in every scene.
Yes, that is true.
There's one other thing we're leaving out. Which is a cast of tens of Cirque du Soleil's finest dressed as the Mighty Navi.
Dressed as either the Mighty Navi
people.
or dressed in black so that they can do puppeteering of animals. And yet, even the black costumes also had tails?
Yeah, so the black costumes, they were like silent, like invisible sort of like puppeteers
stagehands
and stagehands and whatever. And they all black, no definition, no color, but
tails.
And the ears. They were
the ears
sculpturally...
and the ponytail, the braids, as if we would be so taken out by the appearance of a non-Navi figure on the stage.
They were Shadow Navi.
Right.
Well, the show asked, if nothing else, it asked to transport us to another world. It said, may I transport you to another world?
Absolutely. It said may. Yeah,
yes.
May I.
And I think ideally, they would love if every audience member had horse blinders on so they couldn't look at their friends sitting in the seats next to them. Because they would love it if it was completely immersive.
And they were trying to be immersive because this was an experience where you could download an app. What was it called?
Toruk, the app.
I mean, this is Lang's territory because Lang discovered the app.
Yeah, I was just doing a lot of Googling about the show beforehand. I really wanted to get a primer so that I was, familiar with the material and could honor the story and the experience appropriately.
That's always your priority is honoring the story.
I love research and I love story.
I would say you may have honored the story better than the Cirque du Soleil did.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You did a great job at this show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So this app.
Yeah, the app
it would kind of just do nothing.
Sure. No, it's not really an app. It's like a flashlight on your phone that looks like lights. That looks like eyes, sometimes.
Yeah, it would just sort of rumble once in a while and be like, point your screen at the stage.
But so I thought that the light from your phone was going to be a signal to some sort of camera or puppeteer in the show who would then drift like fireflies from the show toward you or like interact with you interacting. And no, it was just
like a beacon or some sort of activator.
It was like a lighter. It was like holding up a lighter.
Right. It was just basically to telling you to hold up a light.
But it was cool. It was effective at parts in the show where it was supposed to make it seem like there was a bunch of those creatures in the audience and the eyes would all be glowing throughout the stadium. Like that was really cool. And effective.
I'll say it was like more exciting to watch other people do it than it was to do it yourself.
Yeah,
it was kind of a hassle to do.
Especially because you would hold it and then you'd sort of like look at your phone like, it's still going? Okay, it's still going.
Well, and my phone was slower than everybody else's phone. So like Griffin and Ramona have their like beautiful, scary viper wolf eyes pointing out at the audience, and I'm still trying to load the app.
Yeah, I didn't even download the app. I had a pretty low battery. It was the end of the day.
I did too, but I wore my battery out running the app. My phone died in the second app.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those apps that had run your battery low.
Yeah.
I forgot my password.
Your phone?
Yeah, no, Ben had forgotten his iTunes password, so he couldn't download the app. It was sad.
Yeah.
So I mean, clearly you can tell we were really into the show by the amount we've discussed it so far.
I just want to explain a little more detail what this app does. So there's like a tab that says like further explore the world of Pandora, and you're like, oh, cool, it's gonna have like a glossary or whatever. And you hit that tab, and it just sends you on a link to the Toruk website.
Sure. Right.
So there's nothing in app that like tells you anything further about the show, right? And then there's like check-in. So you like tell them where you're sitting, and you're like, oh, is this going to? This feels like this would activate things coming towards your seat or whatever the fuck it is. Nope, never comes into play. But you tell them you're at the show, and it's sort of linked up to the show. And so at certain times when there's a moment in the show, it says like, the
Viper Wolves are coming.
Right. And it says like, turn your screen towards the stage in 30 seconds. And then I think the full list of things that happened were there was like, when there's sort of the flying sort of glowing sprites in the Avatar world, it would be like the audience would hold those up and it would look like a lot of soul, like lone lights in the audience. But it also just felt like, so there's one part where there was a thunderstorm and it activated the flashlight on the back of your phone so it looked like lightning.
Sure, yeah.
There was the Viper Wolves part where it was like the two green glowing eyes. And if you held it up, it looked like a sea of eyes in the shadows. And then there were some parts where it was just like flashing colors.
Although I remember Ben being very excited by, I think it was the finale, and the lights were changing colors and flashing in time with the music.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
That was pretty chill. But it was kind of, as you said, just like a digital lighter.
Yeah. I mean, right.
And I kept getting alerts that I had missed all of the alerts. So it really sucked for me, I would say.
Yeah, I had 25 notifications from the Toruk app. And some of them were just like, visit the merchandise stand, which we'll get to that. There's definitely a merchandise spotlight here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I forgot. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Toruk, the first flight.
So when we walk in, we're in media res.
I guess so.
By default, because I was late.
Because we were late. But we were only like 5 minutes.
Yes.
The show had barely started. Yeah.
Right. I think we thought we had missed more and then realized as the show went on, like, oh, this doesn't really have a...
There's not more. There's not more.
Right.
So we enter to a bunch of people as Na'vi, like, going up and down ropes and jumping around and going like, and speaking Na'vi and doing some trampolining.
Yeah.
This show's a prequel, right?
It's
to
huge,
Avatar.
All right, so I did some looking on the Avatar
like
wiki.
A long
it's
time.
set in the 7th century BC. It's set in the 800s, 800 BCs. Or does it go backward?
BC?
Look, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, it's set in 873
in
BC.
Avatar, they believe in Jesus Christ?
Yes, they believe in Jesus Christ. Of course, they accept him as their Lord
Well, no,
and Savior.
BC stands for before Cameron.
No, but like...
Cameron's the Jesus figure.
All right, I actually want to look this up. If Avatar the movie, it takes place in like the late 2000s, right?
Correct.
Like, 21 something.
Fuck, I just loaded the Last Airbender wiki. That's a problem. Here we go.
Avatar takes place like 21 and change.
I'm going to guess 2139.
Ooh.
Okay, let me actually let me confirm that for you. 2154.
Hey,
Close.
pretty close.
There's a lot of years around there.
In Avatar, as I'm sure we discussed in our episode, the character of Jake Sully mounts. Yeah, he's a great
one
guy.
of everyone's favorite lead characters.
Mounts Toruk and becomes Toruk Makto.
Yeah,
and that's what impresses everyone, and then everyone's impressed with him. The biggest fucking Leonopteryx or whatever they're called that there is.
Right.
He mounts it, and he's the fifth guy to mount it.
Okay, fifth. Yeah, but it's not a thing that happens every day.
Not a thing that happens every day. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
No, he's the sixth. I think he's the sixth.
Okay.
It had happened 5 times before. What this show is about is the first time.
So, in a nutshell, this show's about the first time that someone rode a big-ass dragon.
Correct. In the world of Pandora.
Yes.
Among the Na'vi.
Yeah.
And according to the Avatar Wikia, which is james-camerons-avatar.wikia.com, because they have to distinguish themselves from the cartoon.
Which is so insane.
That happened in 837 BC. 837 BC.
Okay.
So basically 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, this show takes place thousands of years earlier than
Correct.
the movie.
Now, can I just ask, because I've never seen Avatar.
Yeah.
Yet.
But by the time...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's weird.
But yes,
Okay.
at the time we're recording this, you haven't seen the film Avatar. Sure.
So does their world have anything to do with music streaming?
Does their world have anything to do with music
I
streaming?
can't wait to hear where he's going.
I don't know
with
what this is, but go
No,
on.
it doesn't, Ben. Why?
Pandora.
Oh.
You know,
Oh, I get you.
I gotta say, my girlfriend was there, and she was looking over my shoulder at the app, and it said like "jump into Pandora," and she was like, "Oh, like is there a playlist?" She thought that like there was a link
sure,
up
right,
with
right.
Pandora,
That you could do a
which
Pandora
would
streaming.
make sense.
That's such an
Remember
obvious
when
tie-in.
Pandora was a thing?
Yeah.
I feel like Pandora's just not enough of a thing anymore.
well, people still do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. You've seen.
I
Judge.
only know that because my friend tweeted about refusing to date people who use Pandora. So
Interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Also, Tidal has taken over.
should
the
mention
world.
should mention
Like a
that,
storm. Yeah.
that Alex and you had seen Avatar.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I had seen Toruk the first, like...
We saw it every day. Every day.
Ben and Ramona had not.
I had never seen the movie. Right.
But, wait, was it you?
I had seen it maybe twice.
No, but Alex, only seen it, but, thought it was the cartoon?
Yeah, my girlfriend had gone to see it, was invited by her friend in 2009.
2009,
Correct.
Right, yes. She told this story.
Time.
This was a great story that she told me before we went into the show, so I think you missed this, Griffin.
2009, the great Alex Pitts is invited to see Avatar, and she's all excited. She gets to the theater, and this weird movie starts up with, a spaceship and, people flying on it and another planet, and she goes, wow, this is kind of a long trailer.
Yeah, she was like, all right, when we get to the fucking cartoon, man. This is what I'm here for.
She thought she was seeing Avatar, the last
Airbender.
Yeah, it was a big disappointment for her.
It is crazy those two movies came out within a year of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, within 6 months even. Okay, so this show takes place thousands of years earlier. I think that is because, as we know, James Cameron has now threatened to throw 4 Avatar sequels at us.
He has.
And
promised, not threatened.
Promised.
He's broken his promises before.
Yeah. And he keeps on pushing them back, and the scope keeps on getting bigger and bigger without him really disclosing what's happening in the other films. But I think, Cirque du Soleil, in making an Avatar-inspired show, had to give him a lot of space. Because it's he's doing 4 more movies.
I get you. They can't fuck with the current Avatar world at all.
Right. But also, even in terms of
maybe not even a prequel. Right.
Even with prequel elements, across 4 films, who knows how many directions he's going to go into. And I read an interview he did with Vulture, and they said, the incubation of the show, they immediately came to the question of, well, it has to take place before humans make any contact with Pandora.
Sure.
Because the scale issue will become too huge.
Right. Well, they're supposed to be bigger.
The Na'vi are big.
They are big. But in this show, they're person-sized.
Right.
It's because they don't have anyone to compare themselves to, any humans to compare themselves to.
But he said, if you have Cirque du Soleil performers playing the Na'vi, which is what you obviously want to do.
I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should have only had basketball players. I mean, they were at the Barclays Center.
Manute Bol is...
Go on.
Manute Bol is kind of built like a Na'vi. He's got the long, spindly
He's very long and
limbs.
spindly. Yeah.
Cameron said they even at a certain point looked into projecting the humans at 3 feet tall so that they could have humans in the
I would have loved that. I wish that would have happened.
Said that?
They were like, oh, can we project them? Can we do holograms? What can we
Holy shit.
I've got the perfect fix. Just use all the props and stuff and make them like Hobbit, trick, that visual trick, make them real small.
You can't do that when there's people at all perspectives.
The problem is you would need a Na'vi and a human standing next to each other.
You would need everyone to be sitting in the same seat somehow.
All right. Well, I tried.
So they were like, let's set it thousands of years before and tell a story that one could argue has no impact on the Avatar films whatsoever.
So is that why this show took fucking 7 goddamn years to be on stage? Just when at the right moment when nobody cares about Avatar anymore, it's here it is, Toruk.
It is the weirdest moment to possibly do this show because we're what? I mean, what's Cameron saying? 2019, we're getting Avatar 2?
I think maybe 18. Here, I can see what he's thinking.
I'm sorry. Blazing fast internet.
Love looking things up on this internet. Oh, well, apparently maybe 2018. 2018 is how it's listed on IMDb.
Okay.
So I would say it's going to come out before 2030, maybe.
Yeah. Right. Well, because he's doing, as someone tweeted, and I forget who, but it was a great joke, he's doing the Breakfast Club thing, where it's Principal Vernon, threatening Bender with more and more detention every time he speaks up. You want to make it 2 weeks? It's 3 now. 4 weeks, Every year he goes hey, I'm sorry, Avatar 2's been pushed back a little bit, but good news, another movie. It started out as Avatar 2, and then became an Avatar trilogy. And then it was he's going to make 4 movies, and now it's 5.
I feel like we're going to talk about this on the Avatar episode.
But this is also maybe the space to talk about.
It might be. Yeah.
Waiting for it. So this is now the first new piece of Avatar content released since 2009. It's been a while. Mm-hmm. So, Avatar isn't at its, peak in the public consciousness, despite being still the #1 highest-grossing film of all time worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And one would think if they held on to the show for another 2 years and sort of released it as part of the pre-Avatar 2 ramp-up.
Maybe then
maybe they'll do the
be a little
second
more hype.
ride.
Toruk the second.
Oh, Toruk ride too?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go if they do.
Yeah.
Just kidding, we don't have to.
But this is a weird moment. The show has sort of no impact on the larger narrative of James Cameron's Avatar universe. And it's just telling you, like, a thing that happened in the history of the Na'vi.
Sure.
But we should mention this. The main Na'vi in the show do not speak in English.
They speak Na'vi.
Yes.
The constructed language that was created for the film Avatar.
There was only one...
That now has almost over 2,000 words.
That's insane.
Yep.
There was only one English-speaking character in the entire show.
Yes, and his name is...
The narrator.
His name is the Storyteller.
The Storyteller. He is a man...
The Storyteller.
In sort of red robes, and he's speaking in this, like, very, very, like, crisp...
Yes. Yeah.
You know, mid-Atlantic
and he's
voice.
walking around the stage, and you'll always hear him talking, and he'll kind of like scan. You're like, oh, there he is. He'll be like in a corner of the stage. Like he was over by us a lot.
Or in the audience. He was like planted in the audience.
It got really confusing for me because every time he would appear, you know, I would start to get ready for it, and then I would like see a guy coming down the stairs with 2 popcorns for his family, and I was like, no, not him.
Yes, this was a big problem. This was a really big problem. Is that the stage, the audience was lit so dramatically so that people, because at points they were planting Na'vi in the audience, the storyteller was always popping up, that like there was a part where I thought a guy was about to make an entrance and he was a dude in a yarmulke.
That would have been a great twist.
But it was very confusing. Then the storyteller was, when we walked in, he was describing the like daily habits of the Na'vi, right?
Yeah.
Like he's planted
You
the
were
audience.
basically just seeing, like the sort of hunting and gathering rituals.
It was like David Attenborough, but
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is an interesting take on the show. It's like a live dance-based Na'vi nature documentary. But then the storyteller like kind of like pieces out. He like bones out for a while.
Yeah, he's around, but he doesn't do much.
But I thought he was going to like narrate the whole thing because it was like, well, Cirque du Soleil, it's not a dialogue-based
You're getting
thing.
to the fact that after he leaves, it's just Na'vi.
Yeah, it's a little like the Star Wars holiday special.
Right.
Where you're just
it's like Chewbacca and the Wookiees,
Yeah, and you're just sort of watching shit happen, and then he would come by and give you like
Go ahead.
1 or 2 sentences at a time explaining like what's going on, and then leave you for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's acrobatic.
Yes.
Yeah, but they tried to force this story on it.
They did.
I still don't really know. I looked it up after the fact too, and
I've looked it up after the fact as well.
So, like, apparently there were 2 main characters, maybe.
At least 2, maybe 3.
But
so there's Ralu,
Sure.
who I think was
Mohawk?
No, I don't know what they look like. I mean, they're all
The
blue.
Mohawks were all just the one tribe.
Yeah, the Mohawks are the one tribe.
Right. The basic crux of this show
I don't know. There are 2 male characters, Ralu and Entu. One of them rides Toruk at the end of the show, spoiler alert, but I actually don't know which.
Yeah.
And then there's a girl,
I know which.
Chisial. Yeah?
Which one?
So the way it goes down
Well,
is...
don't spoil the ending.
No, spoil the ending. The way it goes down is what?
It's like we're start out with one tribe, and it's these 2 characters you just mentioned, kind of like almost rivals in the sense they're trying to like, you know, move on to manhood or like warriorhood.
Uh-huh.
And there is the one male character who he's defeated and he runs off, and he's the one at the end that defeated Na'vi, who rides Toruk.
Okay, right. Because,
he rises to the occasion.
There was like a test at the beginning of the show where this show was very like dangle based. Like it's a lot of dangling.
Yeah, it was basically like, and now the trials begin. They have to dangle.
Yeah.
And now they have to get the thing, this artifact they have to dangle on a rope.
Because like Cirque du Soleil, in addition to sort of like body contortion sort of stuff, is also known for like a lot of like aerial kind of like beauty and majesty.
Yeah.
And this was like, there wasn't any sort of trapeze. For a show called The First Flight, I was ready for more wire work.
There was no like Double Dare.
It was like Double Dare. They'd like drop a rope from the ceiling and then they'd do some dangling.
Isn't that their thing? Like I've never seen Cirque du Soleil before.
I thought there was like a lot more. Like I've never seen Cirque du Soleil. I thought there was like going to be. I thought there was going to be a lot more flipping.
There
was not much flipping.
There was hardly any flipping. There was a lot of tumbling, which I really liked.
Tons of tumbling.
I loved the tumbles. And there was a lot of like spinning on a single-handed like twisty rope.
Yeah.
Which is like sort of a spin on a dangle. It's not quite a dangle. It's a spinning
Where
dangle.
were the clowns?
They're in Queens.
Ben had a lot of complaints about circus elements that were missing.
Not a lot of circus, for sure.
No animal.
So did you?
Viper wolves.
I'm looking this
dire
up.
horses.
Yeah, there are
Turnips.
puppet animals. There are puppet animals.
Yes.
Done through reverse puppetry.
Yeah,
which is puppetry from the ground up.
but there was.
That's what it's called.
There was a lot of I mean, it was like they'd like get on a thing and then they'd like hold on to it and they'd do some climbing and then they'd like let go and they'd be holding on with their legs.
And they'd like flash you like all of their like inner organs. And
yeah. And their bones. You got a good sense of their skeletons.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pelvic floors.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
but we should. They're clad in head to toe body stockings with like abs painted on, like sort of, and like Na'vi. The blue sort of like little tattooy kind of like the markings on their bodies, the spots and the stripes.
Yeah.
So, and you could tell these people they are fit athletes. This is a circus performance.
These are people with like perfect bodies.
But you're almost not even seeing them because they're in these kind of lame stockings. I guess that's sort of how it goes.
Disservice. David and I were talking about how like I think we would have preferred for everybody to be like nude,
painted blue,
painted nude.
Yeah. It was a weird because they were like body socks. I mean, they were like very thin material, but it
not thin enough.
Yeah, because it felt like
not thin enough.
We should say there was no nudity in this show.
No, it's a family-friendly show. There were a lot of kids in the audience.
Yeah, there were.
We were aggressively shushed once by somebody with a couple kids who was, as far as I could tell, filming the entire show on her phone.
She filmed all of it. I was sitting right behind
her phone was like filming the whole.
Yeah.
She was like at row 3.
Yeah,
and you got to be there. To see, you can't really experience Toruk unless you're there.
No, I mean, but here we go. Fucking Cirque du Soleil and James Cameron are holding hands, trying to transport you to the world of Pandora, and you're hiding behind your fucking phone.
Yeah.
If that's not what Avatar is about, I don't know what it is. It's about getting back in touch with nature. It's about fucking becoming yourself.
No, it's about like finding 5 specific items from
I'm
the
saying
5
the world
clans.
of Avatar.
Oh, well, sure.
Okay, so early on the show, there's some dangling test where they're above a fire.
They have to dangle above a fire, which is kind of cool.
Right, and they got to dangle, and one of them dangles really well, and then the other one slips in the dangle and falls down.
Can I just say...
And then breaks his bow.
Right.
From anger.
Out of rage.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of an odd choice to base a show about acrobatics and about using your body well around a character who is bad at that.
Sure.
Yes.
I just wanted to put that out there.
I think that's a very good point. I also will say, at the moment he fell from the dangle, I thought we were watching some Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark shit.
Oh, you thought
for a moment,
things had gone wrong?
For one moment, until everyone reacted very theatrically.
Right.
For one moment, I was like, oh, fuck.
So
it was convincing bad dangling.
Yeah. But like, okay, so the test goes, they break the bow, they run off. And then there's this sort of
this is Ralu and Entu. It's 2 boys on the brink of adulthood who decide to take matters into their own hands when they dream that an earthquake is going to hurt the soul tree or whatever the fuck it's called.
Right.
And they have to get 5 artifacts to stop that.
Well, their elder sort of does some sort of mystical, like, looks into the thing and then conjures something.
Yeah, there's this elder lady who sings.
Yes.
She sounds like Bjork.
She's sort of the CCH Pounder type character.
I guess she's the mystic, but
I took a video of her.
She's got like a Bjork voice, and she's wearing this dress of like I don't know.
Those of the Jewish faith could relate her to a cantor.
A cantor, sure.
Yes,
sure,
she sort of reminded me of the cantor at my local shul.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I remember because she pissed me off. I got bad vibes from both this character and the cantor at my local shul, and she sort of like throws out like suddenly like the plot's cooking, right? It felt like after like 20 minutes of a lot of dangling and like sort of like movement work, she like throws down the gauntlet and
something
you went
about
like
5 artifacts.
Right, and you were like, okay, here
video
game
games.
She said, in order to stop the earthquake, you're going to have to unite the 5 tribes. It won't be easy. There are 5 artifacts you got to collect. And it's like, great. They got to go to different places. They got to talk to hostile tribes.
Yes.
And from each tribe, they got to collect a relic. Easy. The stakes are so clear. In a nonverbal show, I'll understand exactly what's going on. And then what proceeds to happen is about an hour and 10 minutes of more dangling.
Dangling. It'll be like, well, go on, Rachel.
Well, and I thought that it was just scavenger hunt, but then I realized that when I say I realized, I mean I read it online after the show.
Right.
That the artifacts are not necessarily to unite the tribe. They are to summon
Toruk
and then ride Toruk.
Yes.
Yes.
But
just clearing that up.
They don't talk about Toruk much. His shadow is seen before the end of the first act. Remember briefly?
It's prophesized that he's the only one who can stop the earthquake.
And we'll get to how he, quote unquote, stops the earthquake. But so they have to go to various tribes.
Yeah.
And each time they have to do a new kind of dangling to get. So at one point they go up to the big wooden ring and they get like a tulip bulb out of it or something.
Yeah.
But did you notice this recurring pattern of every time they met a new tribe, the tribe would just laugh at them?
Yes.
And then they would have to prove themselves by rope dancing, basically?
Yes, correct. Yeah. The tribes were hard to distinguish because it's all blue people.
Yeah.
Like maybe they have like a yellow hat or something, but like it's pretty subtle, right?
Yeah. Some of them had like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle armor. Where
some
like
of them had some armor.
They
That's
had some
true.
shells.
Yeah.
There was the tribe with the mohawks.
Yeah.
But one girl had like a yarn skirt.
Yeah. So, but like there's one where they go to the crown and they get the tulip bulb. There's another where they build a skeleton seesaw.
I thought it was a telescope.
Yeah. Rachel leaned over to me and said they're building a skeleton telescope.
Because
she got really excited.
The narrator had said, here, this tribe, like, they see the stars and they, like, predict shit and whatever. And I was like, oh, my God, they're building a telescope out of bones.
No,
this is
it was
amazing.
just a seesaw, and they, like, got on either side of the seesaw, and it went up and down.
But it's a seesaw in the shape of a skeleton of a Thanator.
I guess so.
A mighty Thanator from the world of James Cameron's Avatar.
Correct. Then there were some other, I already forgot some of the other tasks. Do you remember any of them?
There was water.
Yeah, there was some water shit.
There was a raging river. Yeah. And there was the turtipede.
That's right. There was like a turtle, but like a sort of a turtipede that was like skating around this floor, and the floor would like they projected water onto the floor,
which
and
I liked. It was cool.
Yeah, and they had like a canoe, and the canoe was moving around, and we were like, "How's that moving around?" And then we looked closer, and it had wheels.
Right.
So that shattered the illusion. But
they
whatever,
were projecting
you know,
like Wild Rapids. You said that the turtipede looked like a Roomba, which it did. It was just sort of a motorized big thing that kept on going around.
I loved it.
Here's the thing. So Cirque du Soleil has adapted the works of musicians before.
The Beatles.
They did Beatles show. They did an Elvis show, and I think there's one other one I'm forgetting. But they've done 3 music themed shows. They have never adapted like a dramatic property before, right?
I don't think so.
I know this for a fact because James Cameron was bragging about it in this Vulture interview.
They did a Michael Jackson show.
That was the third one. It was Michael Jackson, Elvis, and the Beatles. The sort of 3, like, cornerstones of popular music. And then, other than that, they've always done original shows, and they are ostensibly non-narrative pieces, right?
Yeah, they're based on, like, delirium or, like, party or like...
Clocks.
Right. Clocks, which you can now see in Vegas. It's at the Blush.
I swear to God, that's in Queens right now.
Really?
Under a big... maybe it's just steampunk.
Yes. No, I did get the flyer for that.
Oh, yeah, the steampunk one, right. Yeah, what's it called
It
again?
just looks like clocks to me. I don't know.
And they have
and they had a Chris Angel show.
There's Paramore right now on Broadway, which is like the magic of movies themed, but it's sort of about like it's about the magic of movies. It's not like a narrative, you know?
There was Zarkana, which was like a magic of stage, like stage magic one.
They are like
there's a lot of them.
The crux of it is
I think they've run out. Of like stuff.
They've done a ton of shit. And it is like, if you go to Vegas, there are like 10 simultaneous running Cirque du Soleil shows. And I asked my friend when I went to Vegas, my friend Sam Regal, I was like, does every fucking casino have like their own Cirque du Soleil show? And he's like, that's the standard by which casinos judge themselves.
There are 6 current running Cirque du Soleil shows in Vegas alone.
Yeah, he was like, if you don't have a Cirque show, you're second tier. Like, that's the thing, is people fight to become legitimate enough to get a Cirque show.
Okay, so how many people were in the audience? You think like 5,000, maybe?
Maybe.
Like, Barclays seats 20.
Yeah.
I don't know. 4,000. Like, not a lot of people were there.
I'd say 3 to 4.
Were people jazzed about this show? Didn't seem like it.
The people who were there seemed jazzed about it. I mean, but it was.
Right.
We did see people lining up to go in.
There wasn't like a lot of clapping.
No, but it was.
I tried to clap very vigorously anytime anyone went up and down a rope.
Because we were staring, and we were like at reaching distance between the performers and us, so it was like really awkward.
I just didn't feel like, like a real atmosphere in the crowd of like, oh shit,
But let's say this
skeleton,
also.
Seesaw, I don't know.
This is kind of the point I was building up to. It was a surprisingly austere show. Like, it was very invested in sort of like the self-serious integrity that like James Cameron has invested his world of Avatar with,
there
right?
Was no joy, in this show.
Yes, and also like, okay, so if Cirque du Soleil is doing like a steampunk show or like a history of the movies or fucking Elvis, it can just sort of like explore the feelings of a thing and then just go wild in terms of physical movement and just like fucking convey that however they want. But this show has like 1/4 of a plot.
Yeah.
Which means that they sort of have to abide by this thing that like creates confines of how much crazy physical shit they can do.
Right.
And it cuts both ways because it's like, well, the show is less like physically, like aerobatically stunning than Cirque du Soleil I think can be because they're trying to tell this thing. But also the narrative doesn't really work because the narrative is like trying to like have some propulsion behind it and be like, there are stakes, the earthquake is coming, they have to unite the 5 tribes. But in order for Cirque du Soleil to do the things that they do best, things have to slow down to a crawl. So it's like characters are dangling and tumbling when it's like, well, they're like time crunch. This seems like the least efficient way to get across this river.
Right.
Is for them to just keep dangling for a while.
Dangle.
Like the show was like very slow.
It was excruciatingly slow. Yeah. Yeah. I would say
it was
the
short.
Most...
Yeah, it was an hour and a half, a 20-minute
intermission.
Yeah, about an hour.
It also made me think of medieval times.
Yeah, it did. It had that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, but they didn't have any audience participation.
They had the app.
Yes.
No, but I wanted to get in the ring with them and do a thing.
Ramona kept on leaning over to me and saying that she wanted to quit her job and join Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, but she was, again, lit.
Very lit.
I think she would have been wonderful in this show.
She would have been great. That's not in question. She also claimed that she was as physically capable as everyone in the show.
All right.
Anytime they did something, she'd went, I could do that.
Well, I mean, the most impressive part for me was on the bone seesaw. It felt like
Bonesaw?
The bone saw.
The bone saw.
You ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Sure. Bonesaw. Yeah.
Thank you. Bonesaw McGrath.
Bonesaw McGrath.
R.I.P.
It felt like the Olympics because they were just on like what is that? The beam, is it called long beam? What is it called?
The long beam. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
High beam?
Balance beam?
Yeah, balance.
Yeah, whatever.
Beam.
Yeah.
I believe it's a bone saw.
McGrath.
Yeah.
My favorite
R.I.P.
Olympic event. Yeah. So it felt like that, and that was cool. And I was like, okay, this is moving up and down, and you're doing the shit that I just saw like Simone Biles do, and I'm very impressed, and I love it. Do more of this. And then it was just tumbling, and also like they did like a lot of throwing spears and catching them, but like not throwing them at anything, just like throwing them up in the air, like, okay, we're ready to go on this hunting mission, and I caught my spear, and then they would walk away with it.
That's this like weird thing. I've only seen one Cirque du Soleil show prior to this in my life, and it was probably like 15 years ago, and I don't remember it that well, right? But I just remember.
So you have seen one.
I've
never
seen one before. I saw one probably like when I was
back when
like,
it was hot. Back when it was the cool new thing in the like late 90s.
Yeah, I think I saw one. I think I probably saw one like 2001, right? Sure. And I just remember it being like this sort of like there was so much stimuli. There was just like so many things happening simultaneously. Whereas this felt kind of like, as you said, like an Olympic event where it's like all eyes on this. One person's going to do one thing. And they're also limited to, like, what the characters would be capable of doing in a way.
That's almost the problem with setting it in another universe.
Right.
Like,
yeah, and also, like, having, like, characters with a thing to accomplish.
But I can see, so apparently, like, they saw, like, the early cut of Avatar before it even came out, like, some Cirque du Soleil. You can see why they'd be like, oh, this is right up our alley.
And it has sort of a
Blue
vibey
people,
thing.
They're all spindly, like, they jump around and fly.
And even just
Come on.
the music and the aesthetics of Avatar feel kind of Cirque du Soleil adjacent.
Right.
You know?
It felt like world music, like
yes.
a world music concert, kind of.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And this sort of like
banging on some skeleton bones,
lots of, like mournful whale singing, like yeah, like and just like kneeling and trying.
This kind of like faux spiritualism, this earthy like
I always make for like any war movie, like any modern war movie, or any Hollywood movie that has scenes set in the Middle East. There's always that thing where like it'll like cut to Saudi Arabia and yes, over the subject. just
the Prince
like,
of Egypt.
They're just like, let's get someone in here, do some world music, yelling over the soundtrack. Like, no effort is made.
Which Avatar does too.
It does, but I mean, Avatar is playing in that pool of that's what the Na'vi are. They're this sort of like catch-all native folk.
I took a video of the singing too.
You took some videos.
I took a couple.
I took a couple of videos.
Not as many as that lady. Yeah, my favorite part of the show is when David took a video and said, "This is gonna make a great vine,"
and then he vined it. Motherfucker vined it.
I vined that shit.
It was
the skeleton seesaw.
The lady in front of us was literally started recording at the beginning of the show, finished recording at the end of the show, just recorded the whole show.
Yes, that is
She
right.
only stopped at one point to shush you guys.
Yeah,
but she didn't stop the recording.
No.
Ben was quiet, just watching the show.
As a mouse.
Yeah, I loved watching him watch the show.
I was taking it all in.
I've never seen Ben look so intensely focused.
When I get put into a circumstance where I have no idea what's going on, I really try to figure it out. Hey, can I tell you guys what my favorite part of the show was?
Please.
You know how they had plants that came out of compartments?
Yeah.
Dude, that shit's cool.
I loved that too.
Yeah.
That was cool. You were really into that, though.
Yeah.
I was really into it.
Was it Ben or you who started being like, I want my life to have like plants that come out of
that
compartments.
That was Ben.
And I wasn't quite grasping what Ben was saying. I don't know. I also ate a mac and cheeseburger, but I think I talked about that. We should cut to our experience.
So we recorded a lot of audio at Intermission. So just to catch you up, by Intermission, I think they had gotten 3 of the 5 relics, right? 3 of the 5 artifacts.
Right. That sounds right. Yeah.
And then this is the audio.
Like, I think we knew they'd gotten 2, and then they were like, and now they have 3 artifacts. We were like, I guess the third one was in there somewhere.
The third one was inside them all along.
One of them was a doll that looked like Toruk. And I think that was like the first one they got.
Yeah, it was a sort of merchandise spotlight within the show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, anyway, go on.
This artifact is available for $65 at Toruk, the first merchandise stand.
So in the middle of the show, Ben brought a microphone into the Barclays Center. And,
snuck it past security.
And we did a little recapping of our Insta thoughts, right? Yeah.
Right. So these are our halftime thoughts of Toruk, the first flight.
We going?
All right. So here we are, blank check, halftime for the Toruk.
Toruk, the first flight. This is me, Dave Sims.
And this is producer Ben.
Hey Ben, so we've just taken in, I would say, the first hour or so.
Yep.
And then we're in the intermission.
So we're just now eating some Paisano burgers.
Yeah, we got some Paisano burgers. I got the what's it with Mac Attack burger?
It was the Mac Attack burger.
So it's a hamburger with mac and cheese on top, which is a classic Italian-American dish that Paisano replicates faithfully at the Barclays Center. So all right, Ben, I'm going to give you some thoughts, and then I want to hear your thoughts.
Of course.
So going into this, I would say my feelings were I was nervous and I was upset, and I was a little hot. It's very hot today, and we had to stand outside for a while because Griffin was really late. And then we were supposed to sit in section 222.
Right.
But then they moved us to section 5. And that's like, it's a lot closer.
Yeah,
we are very close. And we're in section 9, row 5.
Right.
So we're basically, I think if you're in a basketball game, these seats cost like $1,500.
Oh my God.
Like, we're courtside, essentially. But we're not courtside for an NBA game. We're courtside for Toruk, the first flight.
For rope dancing.
A lot of rope dancing. So there seems to be a lot of Pandora and marginalia, like everyone looks like a Na'vi, they're talking in Na'vi, there's a lot of Na'vi animals, Pandora animals, but
they are speaking in like
they're speaking
Avatar
Na'vi,
language.
yeah, they are.
So
but,
did they put out like a whole like
a dictionary maybe?
Yeah,
maybe they did. They built the whole language out for the movie.
Okay.
So that's great. Really happy they're respecting the tradition of the Na'vi with that. But no, my biggest thought is, here, I have to give Ramona another fried pickle.
No, I don't want one. They're
okay,
bad.
She doesn't want the fried pickles. All right. My biggest thought is it's mostly rope dancing.
Yeah.
Like with all that window dressing, but it's really just rope dancing. What do you think, Ben?
Well, I think great butts. I want to start there.
Muscular, athletic butts.
Oh man, everyone's got a great butt. I love the design of it, like the set design. One really cool thing is they keep having plants come out of compartments and then shrink back in. That's really cool. I'd like to incorporate that into like my daily life. I would like that to
into
be
blank check. Maybe you could have some plants.
I mean, yeah, we could do that. We could have a plant that comes out of the table that you record at. I'm thinking more though, I like that as a design element that I'd like to incorporate into my daily life. Like, I want there to be tables where you push a button and something comes out of it. That would be cool. Yeah.
And then at another point, there was a flame. That was pretty cool in the center of the stage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh gosh.
Ooh,
all right, hold on. I got to hand this off to Griffin.
I'm going to give this over to Griffin. Yeah. All right. This is David. I have the microphone right now. We're being told to download the First Flight app, which has been part of our second screen experience. Now I'm going to talk to Griffin Newman, co-host of Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Hi, everybody. This is Griffin Newman, a co-host of the podcast Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Now, Griffin, we're with our friend Ramona. She's drinking a gin and tonic.
I'm getting drunk. It's my third gin and tonic.
Yep. I'm on my first gin and ginger ale. I should mention that Ramona has never seen the movie Avatar before.
That is true. Neither has Ben.
Neither has Ben.
So, Griffin,
yes.
Thoughts after Act 1?
I think it's just a Cracker Jack show.
We talked about butts already.
You have your butts, so I'm going to give some unqualified praise. Oh, there's a lot of good butts in this show. If you like well-formed butts, I mean, obviously, look, the stamp of quality
Griffin.
on Cirque du Soleil, we know we're going to see well-toned
Griffin,
bodies.
Just want to remind you, there are tons of children sitting within earshot of us.
I'm going to be very clean in the way I say this. You're seeing people in peak physical condition who have honed their bodies with precision, like the blade of a knife. It is sharp, it is precise, and it is designed...
And it's super hot.
It's super hot, and it's designed to do one task, and that is to
Go up and down
communicate
a
to
ribbon.
us the story of Toruk, the First Flight.
No. The correct answer is to go up and down ribbons.
Okay, there are a lot of ribbons in this show and people going up and down them. I've said this is a very dangle-heavy show. Most of the stunts are connected to dangling.
Wait, I have a question. Toruk, the First Flight. We know that Toruk has flown at least once before this.
In the film Avatar.
This is a prequel.
Prior to
killed the person with the red mohawks family.
Well, do you want spoilers?
So what about this is the first flight?
No, I think someone is going to... All right. This is conjecture. It's speculation.
This is what
but
we believe.
My guess is by the end of the show, someone's going to mount Toruk and fly on him. Toruk, FYI... Ramona's real buzzed. All right, yeah. Toruk, FYI, is the big orange thing.
Toruk is like one of these flying things. It's not a Navi.
No.
Oh, didn't you see the shadow?
And it's pronounced Navi, bro.
So, guys, just I'm talking in my mouthful, but that conversation you just overheard should give you an idea of just how incomprehensible the show is.
The show is great. It's nice, clean, economic plotting. The show moves like a freight train. There's no fat on it.
Right, it's
like the Cirque du
from
Soleil
ribbon
dancers.
scene to ribbon scene.
Like those butts.
And here's the thing that everyone else isn't saying. This show is really funny. It has a razor-sharp wit.
All right, 2 notes to that. 1, no one's saying anything about Toruk the First Flight. 2, it's not funny.
It's very funny. It's got a dry, subtle wit, and you have to get on its wavelength. You might not notice the laughs if you're not looking for them, because it's really kind of a test of intelligence. But the show is very funny.
All right, so, Griffin's just doing a stupid bit. It's not funny. It's also...
Get out of here. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
I mean...
It's got
Griffin, look.
the razor-sharp barbs of a New Yorker cartoon.
Look,
maybe you're not... Gales of laughter aren't heard, but you're quietly laughing to yourself.
All right, look, I'll give you that, of course. It does have... It has a barbed wit. That's true.
Yes.
But, look, we do our podcast for fun, but, we're serious critics.
Very serious.
Ramona, what are you about to say?
Ramona's
Ramona keeps
also a
leaning in
serious
very
critic.
threateningly.
Ramona's very drunk.
Threateningly. Did you mention the seat upgrade that...
I mentioned the seat upgrade. I've given our listeners the full story of the seat upgrade.
And did you give a shout out to Steven, who hooked us up with the seat upgrade?
Steven, who works at the Barclays Center. We'll talk about him on the
we'll talk about
the rest of the pod. But I just want to say the service at the Barclays Center has been extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's a great arena, and I support its staff,
Yeah,
especially.
This is definitely the best $13 gin and ginger ale I've ever got.
Oh, my God, $13. I spent $12 on my Mac Attack mac and cheese burger. All right, Ben, do you want the...
Let's go to Lang and Pitts.
Lengthwise. Keep it
All right, Ben, I'm going to hand you over. So you can talk to Lang. Are you still eating?
No, I'm done. You can have the last of these fries.
No. You eat the fries. Oh, no, yeah. Ramona can have the fries. Okay, wow. Ramona dove for those fries like Toruk diving for the families of the Na'vi that he has slaughtered. Maybe, I don't know. Does he actually kill people? It's hard to tell.
Maybe.
All right. Ben, if you want to ask a couple questions from our other seatmates, please go ahead.
Sure. All right. So, okay. Yeah. Hey. Hi there. Previous guest on the podcast.
Hi.
Rachel.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Great, so great.
Good. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about how you like the show so far, and please introduce your friend who's joining us today for the show.
Sure. This is my girlfriend, Alex Pitts.
Hi, hello.
Columbia grad.
Great, okay.
And English major.
Wow.
Yeah. Uniquely qualified, actually, to review this show, I think.
Okay, so from a literary standpoint, how do you feel the story is unfolding? Can you follow it in any way?
Yeah, I feel like Joseph Campbell would be proud of this show. There's a real hero's journey happening, a quest that is being fulfilled. So, yeah, I'm happy.
I mean, I don't know what's happening. I haven't seen the movie either, but I don't think that matters. I think it's just not... There's not much of a story. It's just like, rope stuff.
It's what's it called? A scavenger hunt. It's a scavenger hunt. And we're here at Intermission.
With a lot of tricks.
And I can't tell if it's been completed or if there's more, or like...
2 or 3 more talismans.
Okay, great. So that answers that. The English major's on it. She's got it. Yeah. Still going on.
Now, all right, this was a thought I had while I was watching it. I think that they're doing some really great stuff with, like, the set dressing and the costumes. There was those fan costumes. Yeah, that was cool. I really like the ambient sound of water in a stadium. Any thoughts?
Love it. And I love projected stars on the floor because I feel like it's different. Like you'd expect the stars to be like on the ceiling or on the walls, for example. And
I think it's starting.
Yeah, well,
okay.
It's been great.
Yeah, thank you for being on the...
Just going to sign off with a few comments. All right. The lights are darkening. Ben smells of cigarette smoke. Dry ice is wafting onto the stage. The Na'vi are coming down the stairs. Everybody's abs are going haywire. Guys, this is insane. I don't know if we're going to survive this. It's been wonderful talking to you. It's David Sims with Blank Check.
And then great. Those were our thoughts
Great.
on Toruk, the first flight. Now, in case you couldn't tell, I was having a laugh about the show being funny.
Yeah, you were doing this whole annoying bit where you were like, this was a really subtle, like, wet, barbed, funny show.
I think everyone who listened to it will agree that my bit killed.
Of course, they were murdered.
Great,
absolutely.
Rachel didn't get the chance to talk about something that happened whilst we were purchasing burgers.
We have to talk about Sauce Boy.
Oh,
yeah.
Sauce Boy.
Well, that didn't happen to me.
No, I know, but it's related to
no,
what happened.
I missed both of these things. I have not heard these stories.
Did you go to the merch stand in the intermission, or what did you
do? I did a cursory sort of scanning. Decided I would wait until the end of the show, and then I went and got drinks. But I was not online for food with you folks.
Right.
We went to go get food.
Me and Ben and Rachel, I got a mac and cheeseburger, as previously mentioned.
I spent $15 on Budweiser and water.
Yep.
Feeling really good about that still.
Yeah, I did $26 on 2 gin and tonics.
Wow.
That's better value than $15 for a Budweiser.
Yeah. And then Ben and David and Alex and I sort of all made eye contact at once, and then we made eye contact with the cashiers. And it was as though a cloud had sort of come over all of us waiting in line for food. Because
I think you had said, I can taste the fart in my mouth. I think that's the quote. I remember something to that effect.
It was
very strong.
It was dense like fog.
Yeah. We were wading through it.
Yeah, it was like, brief tangent. My grandpa is from this small town in Pennsylvania that is known for the Denora fog, which swept over the town one night.
Wow, a fluoride fog.
It killed like 20 people and made like hundreds sick.
Thousands. 7,000 people were injured by the Denora smog.
That's where my grandpa's from, and I felt his legacy.
One of the worst air pollution disasters in the history of the United States.
This is like a real thing that happened in the real world. This sounds like a plot point from Avatar 4. Like a fog that can kill people.
Yeah, so
anyway,
until this moment in line for my $10 Budweiser.
Not since the Denora fog.
No.
Has an airborne attack.
And so all the cashiers were pretty startled. What was really funny was that chefs were coming out from behind to smell it. And then I heard someone be like, chefs. So it'd be like, you nasty. Come on. What do you want to smell a fart for?
Okay, I have some questions asked since I wasn't there.
Sure.
What was there any sort of theory as to who had laid it? Like, was there a scanning around to see who looked guilty?
I was thinking it was either an old person or a kid.
But there wasn't like a person you could see who looked
sounds
like
like something.
There's no way it was a kid.
Happened and the person moved on and it was.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think it was a crop dust?
I have a theory now. I didn't see this man at the time in line, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there.
Okay.
I saw him later. He was an older gentleman. I would say late 60s, early 70s, and he had a button-up shirt that was like not the material that those ever are. It was like the material. It was like a stretchy button-up shirt.
Interesting.
That was completely skin tight over his whole top half.
Kind of defeats the purpose of buttons.
Yeah, and he kept sort of walking around all weird around the merchandise stand. And when I saw him later, I thought, that guy.
This guy could be a phantom farter.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
a fart and run guy.
Other than that, no idea.
Okay, interesting.
Ben, any other ideas?
Yeah, I saw an old lady online with us, and I felt like, you get older, you start taking medications, and it's just like sometimes you let things, slide out.
Great.
Ben Hosley, fart detective. Can I throw out a theory?
Sure.
And I wasn't there.
No.
And hindsight's 20/20.
It is.
And I'm certainly not telling, the three of you are three of the people I respect most in this world.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you should have been doing anything differently because,
Will you please say your theory?
You were looking on the ground.
We should have looked in the sky.
I mean, Toruk might have farted, and he would have been able to get away from it really quickly.
Sure, he is.
And he's a huge dragon. We don't know what's in his fucking
They call him
diet.
the Last Shadow.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
That's what Toruk means.
If there was a fart unlike anything you had ever smelled before, then perhaps it came from a creature unlike anything you've ever seen before. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course I know what you're saying.
To think this was terrestrial.
It's a logical theory, and I'm glad that we've aired it on this podcast. I mean, it's a good thing to talk about.
Toruk the first fart. Can you tell the second story? What's Sauce Boy?
Okay, so me and Ben were getting food, and Ben was telling me how much he likes condiment stands.
I love if you go to a place and they've got like a really fancy condiment stand. I'm like,
which
whoa.
they've got at the Barclays Center. They've got okay condiments.
It's not many options.
And I told him when we were getting our food, I was like, I don't know if you're gonna love the condiment stand because I've been there enough times. I know, it's you got your ketchup.
Yeah.
You got your mustard.
Yeah.
They got some sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And they got the kind of like hot chili you can put on a hot dog.
Oh, that's pretty good. Not every place will have that.
I think they have banana peppers.
Yeah, but it was all open air,
It's
just
open air.
like hanging out.
Okay.
And I don't feel good about that.
So me and Benny collect our food. Yeah. We walk over to the condiment stand. And I was sort of saying, like, it's not great. And Ben kind of looks over at me and he's like, and then he sort of stops himself and he's like, we'll talk about it later. And so I'm like, oh, well, okay. And so we move on. We go back to our seats. And then, Benny, you want to take it from here? Or?
Sure. So there's a gentleman who worked at the Barclays Center who was sort of like manning the station.
By manning, we mean standing by the station
just
with
kind
his
of
arms at his side.
Sort of just wiping things down.
I guess.
And I didn't want to talk bad about, what he does.
Okay.
But I did refer to him as a sauce boy.
Well, you wanted to refer to him as a sauce boy, but you didn't do it in front of him, right?
No.
So that's I think you were about to say like sauce boy.
I was going to be
over
like,
here.
yeah, this sauce boy isn't holding up his weight here, something to that effect. But then I corrected myself whilst telling this to David, and I said he's more of a condiment man.
Condiment man was how you put it.
Right.
But I just like sauce boy. So that's the sauce boy story.
He joins the ranks of Bad Zoo Boy.
Yep, Bad Zoo Boy. That's right.
True.
Ben's Bad Boy team.
So Ben's Bad Boys. One day we'll do a whole episode just with them as
Ben's Bad
guest
Boys.
stars. Yeah. Okay.
That would be like Blank Check the movie, as Ben has to unite the bad boys.
Right.
To
Are we
fight,
in Blank Check the movie?
What?
Are we in Blank Check the movie, or is it just Ben uniting the bad
We're
boys?
in Blank Check the
You
movie.
guys are the narrators.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well,
And
yeah.
Martin
All right.
Lawrence.
So then, good way to segue to part 2.
Okay, second act, 2 more relics, artifacts.
One of the relics is in the floating mountains, and they sort of pulled some mountains up
And
on
they looked
strings.
cool.
That looked okay. You're giving me a real like.
They looked cool.
They looked okay.
Yes.
And they meet the clan that like jumps around on the mountains.
Once again, time is of the essence, and they're taking a really long time to get around everywhere because they got
Ribbons.
tumbling and dangling to do.
Ribbons.
Yes.
And then Toruk shows up.
Oh, well, first, they come out with kites, and they're all sort of... That was really cool.
It was
Parts
fine.
of it
They
were
had
cool.
They were
small
sort of sweeping the kites over the seats. That was kind of cool.
The small dragon kites, and the kites were pretty. They were pretty kites.
And that was like
Yeah.
the regular what the fuck are they called?
Leoniprix?
Yeah, the dragon things that they all fly.
There were like 4 kinds of kites, and
there was like a parasailing thing as well.
And there was the one that felt like those cat toys that look like little fishing rods, and you just like boing 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 boing. Like that was exactly what one of the ones that.
Yeah.
And they just kept like. I was impressed by how in sync everybody was. I know that's their job.
Yeah.
But when twisting something in the wind,
it's hard.
And walking, you could sort of see the fear in their eyes. But that was when the show felt like the most real to me.
And then Toruk shows up.
Yeah. Well, and just we've mentioned this, but I just want to point out the creature puppet work was really good. I mean, you sort of derisively said, like, well, this is just The Lion King now. Like, you were like, they're just taking Julie Taymor's thing.
No, I said that, like, early into the first act. It was literally they ripped off the Julie Taymor animal puppets. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was that kind of style where it would be like someone was, like, the hind legs, and they're dressed in black, and then they're controlling
operating
the first
some legs.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was all really good. I mean, all the puppets looked really cool and were well operated.
Mostly looked good. Ben had a problem with one of them.
Yeah, there was the horse guys.
Dire horse? The dire horse?
Yes, the dire horse.
Because it was 2 people in it.
Right.
And then the person who was the back half, he controlled a third set of legs.
Yeah,
they were
six-legged horses. Yes.
Yeah.
And the one guy was terrible. He was like just not selling the clop kind of thing.
So just to clarify, there were on stage, I'd say, 4 dire horses.
I think that's right, yeah.
Each dire horse was operated by 2 people.
That's right.
And Ben specifically took umbrage with one of the 8 people performing the front.
It was sort of a left shark situation.
Right.
Yes.
Hey, no, Rachel saw it too.
I did. I'm Team Ben on this one.
Yeah,
I saw it, and he was just. Everybody else had like a rhythm to like, okay, this is the front left, and then the front right.
Sure,
and
right.
And and it was all going. And this guy was just stomping, and then anytime he wasn't moving, he would still sort of like aimlessly wiggle them, and it just didn't work for me.
He was showboating.
Yeah, no, he hadn't showed up to rehearsal.
It took me out of it. I felt like I was immersed in the blue world, and then I just got pulled right out.
Okay. Ben has not seen Avatar at this point.
So there are 2 more artifacts. They get to the dragon people, and then suddenly Turk
shows up. He flaps around for a while.
Now, let me say 2 things that might sound contradictory.
Okay.
Toruk looked amazing.
Looked pretty cool.
It was pretty. It was
big puppet,
but
way up in the sky, operated by a few guys underneath. 8 guys, I believe.
I think we all had the same complaint at the same time.
Which was?
Thought he'd be a little bigger.
It wasn't that big.
It wasn't huge. And especially when the show is just building up. Like, we're at, like, fucking minute, 78
Yeah,
now.
we're like, all right, well, we're in the final act here. Come on.
Right.
He was like the size of the big, like, flower nipple that was dangling out one of the artifacts earlier on. He was like the same size.
Yeah. He was okay.
Like,
he was big enough to probably, you could imagine, like, maybe 2 of these guys riding him.
Right.
He kind of looked like the size of a regular dragon thing.
That's what I was going to say. Because in Avatar, they give us a sense of scale when you see the regular dragon riders, but then when the big Toruk-esque dragon comes in, it was, like, humongous. Like, Jake Sully looked tiny on his back. And this looked like one of the normal-sized dragons. But it was pretty beautiful looking, and it's flying around from the ceiling. And they're all sort of, I guess, simultaneously, like, terrified and entranced.
Sure.
I mean, they crouched in fear so many times.
There was some story
Yeah.
element where he had like killed the family of one of the characters,
Right.
but that was sort of vague.
Oh, and
I
at
didn't
some
hear that
point,
one.
they like. At some point, these 2 main characters, the one who failed the test and the one who succeeded, like collect a third person. At some point, it became 3 people.
Guys, no one cares about this.
But we
Let's
kept on
move
being like,
she's a princess.
She was a princess.
Yeah, she was a princess of one of the tribes.
And they were like, just take her.
Look, anyway, someone can we get through this? Someone tries to ride Toruk. It doesn't work out.
But then how does
then
everything
there's an
catch on
earthquake.
fire?
Then there's an earthquake.
Okay.
Then a volcano melts all over the stage.
It was lava. And once again, the lava's projected on the floor, which is cool. The
Pretty
floor projection
cool.
was cool.
And you've got the Soul Tree thing, the like big USB hub that
Right.
they all plug their brains into.
Yeah.
And that's under threat from the lava. Then they open a waterfall, and it kind of kills the lava, but it doesn't as well. Like,
Yeah.
it was hard to pick up what was happening.
It hardens
they were
the
like,
lava
"It
on the
worked,"
ground.
but then there's still a fire.
The
I
tree
guess.
was still on
They
fire.
like broke open a mountain
Yeah.
to create a waterfall.
Right.
Which I think David and I were theorizing, like, it stopped the lava from continuing to, like, be lava.
Yes.
But then there was a resulting fire still. Like, it was still too hot.
Right. The lava on the ground had stopped, so people could walk on the ground. Because at first there was like a river of lava underneath their feet. And that stopped, but the lava had already hit like the base of the tree, and the tree was on fire. And the tree is like, not like wilting, but like collapsing into the stage at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it was sort of just like crumpling up, right? It's like getting shorter. And then our main character had sort of like disappeared. Like it seemed like maybe he had died.
Yeah.
And Toruk had sort of disappeared. And then they like re-enter. Like he's on Toruk's back. And it's like, oh, he's the first rider. He has tamed Toruk. He's the Toruk Macaw.
Macto. Rider of the Last Shadow. And then so he flaps around for a bit. Then Toruk like keeps touching the lava, like he like touches it with his wing, and it's like and he touches it with his like tail,
his dainty little feet,
and then he dies. But then he kills the lava. I didn't understand.
The Toruk comes out, and it's clear like, okay, this is Chekhov's gun. Like the first act they set up Toruk, right? Now the tree's on fire. Obviously Toruk's got to start it, and then when he came out, you and I turned to each other and we were like, how's he gonna stop it? Like, what does he have water breath? Like, what's?
I thought he was gonna like flap his wings and blow it out like a big candle, but
instead they like lowered him very close to the floor, and then the like wings would just sort of like tap the fire a little bit.
And okay, I just gotta talk about his legs for a second because they were like big long frog legs, but they were like sort of stuck together like a Barbie leg or something, and they just kept sort of like daintily like tapping down and hitting things, and I thought it was so cute.
It was so annoying.
It was pretty cute.
I liked it.
It was pretty cute.
He had a ferocious growl.
That is true.
You know what? Actually, good sound design for the show.
The sound was pretty good. It was sort of quaky sound. Like you could really feel it when it was loud.
I had commented, I love the sound
rumbled,
of dripping water. Like, I love it. And I loved hearing it in a stadium even more so.
And the sound system was really good. I mean, Barclays Center, top-notch tech specs. But Toruk sort of pats the fire a little bit, and then at some point just dies.
He dies, but that kills the fire. I guess the idea is he's like blowing it out with his wings, but we do not see that. And I feel like they could have accomplished that.
Now,
like visually on stage. Like it was possible.
Yeah. But it felt like the only thing they designed the puppet to do was flap up and down, so there wasn't a lot of like performance ability. It was a huge puppet. But could have been bigger.
Could have been bigger.
Definitely could have been bigger.
Now,
maybe like bigger.
Right.
Like my note might be bigger.
Big. The trees there, all the fiber optic cables are lit up. And as we know in the motion picture Avatar, no spoilers for Benny, but it has been seen to have the ability to perhaps resuscitate one or at least transfer them into a new body, right?
Exactly, yeah.
There is revival.
You can like plug your consciousness into it.
As a byproduct of the tree. So you're like, well, they're going to save Toruk because obviously...
No, but he doesn't have like a braid.
And then Toruk just dies next to the tree. But they like stretch the cables out. Like that was the part was like they had the cables and then you thought that you knew all the cables and then more cables came out and they got really long. And then it was just sort of like they're lying there next to like a dead dragon.
Where did the Na'vi, like, how does the Na'vi plug into the dragon? I know he doesn't have a braid, but they plug into each other, right?
No, he does have something. Yeah, he has like a port.
He's got a port.
Oh, he's got a butthole.
Ah.
It's not the butthole.
It was the butthole.
No, it's like a port.
That's what a butthole is.
Yeah, but a butthole is a port to the toilet.
Oh, boy. All right. So it's been too long since I've seen Avatar.
Porta-potty, that's what it's named after?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Port Authority? They call it that because it's like a butthole.
It's like New York City's butthole.
It's New York's butthole.
It does. It really does function that way.
Yeah. Shits into New Jersey. Yeah. It shits you out of New York City into New Jersey.
Slowly.
Yeah.
So that's Toruk the First Flight. Let's never speak of it again.
Okay, so I have some more things to say about it. The dragon just dies. They're all there with the thing, and we kind of turned to each other because we were like, well, so we thought that when
go on,
Jake Sully becomes the Toruk Macaw. What's it? Toruk Macto. We assumed it was the same dragon that we were seeing in this show,
right?
But this dragon conclusively dies. We were like, they have to bring him back to life because he's in the movie.
No, but I think it's just his ancestor.
So here's
the fucking thing doesn't live for 3,000 years.
So my question is that like Toruk the Fifth? Is that like James Toruk the Fifth?
The biggest
in the film Avatar? Is it James Toruk the Fifth?
Yes.
And how do they make more of these dragons?
The biggest one
are there dragons
Toruk.
banging?
That's how it works.
So is Toruk not his proper name? Is it a title?
Yeah, Toruk means last shadow.
Right.
In
he's
Na'vi.
Like, right.
Yes.
He's like the
TOTUS. English title for him is...
He's Toruk of the United States.
Exactly. He's TOTUS.
Yeah.
English title is giant Leopteryx.
How do you know all of this?
I have the Avatar wiki.
Oh.
And
my super fast internet.
There can be only one? Is it sort of like whoever
Well,
is
there's
the
only
biggest
one that's
dragon
the
at
biggest,
that time?
right?
Right, so that you get
Right.
the title when you're the biggest one.
I guess so.
So it's not necessarily like a family lineage thing. It's like when one dies, they're like, okay,
But
who's the
what
next
if-
biggest?
One
What
would
if you're
assume-
there and then one gets bigger? Then what do you get called if someone's like supersedes you?
Number
as...
two. Number
Great
two.
question.
You can call number
and
two.
see, this is Ling. This is why we have you on the show, because you're not afraid to ask the tough
Thank
questions.
Thank you. No answer.
No answer. I mean, Jimmy, come on, flesh out this world. Give us those 12 more Avatar movies. We got unanswered questions.
Maybe it's like Mr. President. Like you still get called like Mr. Toruk.
You've always, if you were a Toruk, you always will be a Toruk.
Yeah, maybe.
Even if you're not the Toruk.
You know
the
what,
current
though?
Right.
You know what,
acting
though?
Toruk.
You know,
Right.
guys, you know what, though?
What?
It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
But here's what does matter. We've left something out,
Oh,
which is
have
that
we?
the show had a huge twist.
Oh,
ending.
shit, I forgot about the twist. Okay, guys, so Toruk saves the day.
They were all sort of mourning
tree is
him.
saved,
They're all
they're
plugging
mourning
in. They're
him.
fucking the tree, and then the narrator comes out, the storyteller,
Yeah, that's right.
and is like, "That is the story of the first
Flight.
Toruk."
Sure.
I keep on forgetting
Macto.
Macto.
Yeah.
And,
Rider of the Last Tree.
right, and he gave his life to save our tree and keep our people alive.
Toruk, to be clear.
Yeah, he was the first Toruk Macto, but he wouldn't be the last.
Sure.
And
Jake
how do
Sully.
I know that? Because that Toruk Macto was me, and this was my story. Blackout, hard blackout.
And I
Turns out it was a memory play.
went like this sort of like mind blown face,
You
like
were so
the
impressed.
gesture. And I saw one of the performers looking at me as I did this,
Yeah.
and with like a big grin on my face. 'Cause I'm really close to the stage,
Yeah.
and so I felt doubly happy because I think he genuinely was like, "Yeah, we got him,
You got
Like,
him.
bam."
But it's like in a show that didn't have much of a narrative, they like do this like rug pull at the end that was like, you thought I was just an impartial narrator? Nah, bro, this was my story.
Boom.
And I can speak English, and
Yeah.
I've been speaking Navi this whole inner show. When did he learn English?
Well, that's hopefully what the sequel is. I mean,
Sure.
we've joked about Toruk Flight 2, but that's hopefully what the sequel is.
They're never gonna do it.
I hope they do 5 more. I hope they announce that they're going to do 5 of them.
So that was it was pretty good. What do you think? Verdict?
I mean, look, I had a great time watching it.
Yeah.
But I was with some of my favorite people.
Exactly. We were all good, having a good time.
We were having a great time.
And we were sitting close to the stage. If I'd been sitting in those nosebleed seats, especially because we saw the
Yes.
like poor 30 people who were like stuck up there,
We would have been miserable.
I would have been very unhappy.
A lot of our enjoyment came from the fact that we were like 30 feet
Yes,
away from
right.
everyone
Hey,
at
and
all
if
times.
if we were as early as we were supposed to be,
Maybe
we might
we wouldn't
not
have
have
been there.
ever gotten those
True.
seats.
It's true.
You are
Mhm.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, 5 Train,
Yeah.
and not Griffin.
and Steven.
Yeah, and
And
big
Steven,
ups
of
to
course.
Steven.
Big ups to Steven. Big ups to the whole Barclays Center crew who
Yeah.
clearly did not give one shit about Toruk, the first flight.
They all seem kinda
Ramona,
bummed to
who
be
was
working.
not sitting with us, totally just walked on to the, walked down to our section and sat next to us. Nobody cared.
Because they had put Ramona in. She had bought tickets. I bought
They
tickets
looked
for
at our
the 5 of
tickets
us.
once and they were like,
Right.
hey, you're over there.
I
Like,
bought tickets for the 5 of us, and Ramona bought her own ticket independently. So she was not reassigned. She was put into that one shitty nosebleed section,
Yeah.
and she just walked down 5 sections with no trouble. I think everyone who worked at the Barclays Center was a little embarrassed to be working.
Yeah, they're used to, pretty sold out Nets games and,
Yeah.
and Jay-Z concerts and what have
It
you.
was probably like a relaxing payday.
Yeah, it's
You
probably
know?
like, I don't know what it is today. Avatar.
And it was September 11th, which added this weird air to the whole
There
thing.
was, and they had 2 shows. This was their second show of the day, so that's pretty impressive.
I think there's 6 shows in total.
6 shows in Brooklyn, and
Right.
they're I can tell you want to know where they're going next?
The Prudential Center in New Jersey, I believe, is next.
I think you're
I
right.
think they're
Yeah, I
playing the
keep
Peru.
getting ads for it after searching it. Now my computer keeps trying to get me to go to the Prudential Center.
I get a lot of ads for it in like Facebook or whatever now.
Uh-huh.
That targeted advertising for Cirque du Soleil, also for the steampunk one.
Now, merchandise spotlight. They had a merch table. They had a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff was stuff you were supposed to like use while watching the show, like light up sort of shit and fucking Wizamadoos.
Flower crown.
Flower crown that lit up. The flower crowns were on these busts that were like, they were sort of like mannequin busts, but they had been painted with the face paint of the Naveen. They looked great. And I turned to Ben and I was like, if they had that for sale, I would buy that. Like I would just buy a mannequin head of a Naveen.
Yeah, they were cool.
And then they had like a lot of Toruk stuff, like a plush Toruk. They had a Toruk kite. They had the soundtrack for sale. They had like a program. And then they had like a lot of shit that just said Toruk on it, like a mug. a magnet, a T-shirt.
They had a shot glass, but like that was like a big one.
It was like a big shot glass.
It had like big. You could get like 3 shots out of it.
But like all this stuff was just sort of like solid color, and then just said Toruk, the first flight, inspired by James Cameron's Avatar. Like it wasn't like super cool looking, right? But there was one item there that caught my eye. And I said, what sizes do you have that in? And they said, only children's sizes. And I said, can I try one on? They said, the biggest we have is 12. And I put it on, and it was snug, but kind of a perfect fit. And as Ben himself said, it kind of wouldn't have been worth owning if it was any less tight than it was.
Yeah, I mean, it fits the way that we just, the way that everyone looked at the show.
Svelte.
Very svelte.
Lean. Terse. Sinewy. It was a child's Na'vi costume hoodie.
I tweeted a pic.
With
the September 11th memorial in the background.
Yep, the lights are lit behind me, representing the 2 towers that fell on that day, much as Toruk fell on that day.
Oh, my God.
And the hoodie was made to look like Na'vi skin. It was the blue with the lighter tummy and the stripes and the dots.
Ears,
but it also had ears and
a little tail.
And a little
a
tail.
short tail.
Not a big tail.
No. But it was a great item.
And no pockets either.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer. But I'll give them props for like accuracy. Like Na'vi don't have pockets in their tummies.
No, they don't. Well, no, I don't think so.
My only complaint about it was
they're not
that
a pouch-like people.
No, they're not. My only complaint about it was that it wasn't like a full body onesie. Like the only thing that could have made it better for me is if I had the bottom half.
I'm sure you could get such a thing.
Just buy the bottom half of a Na'vi.
No, just a jumpsuit.
Sweatpants, yeah. But it was great. I loved it. Get you a hoodie that can do both.
Absolutely.
This kept me warm once there was a chill 9/11 breeze coming through. But it also helped me, look, if we know anything, it's that people have a hard time leaving the world of Pandora.
Right.
Why the motion picture made $700 some odd million domestic, because people had to go back. And now I can feel like I'm always back in Pandora with just the flick of a hood atop my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I detected no real enthusiasm for the world of Pandora. I feel like I'm worried about Avatar too. But like the enthusiasm might be gone.
Enthusiasm for my hoodie.
And for your hoodies, sure, yeah.
Now here's the biggest takeaway I had from
Toruk, the first flight.
Right.
Yeah, based on Avatar.
This was the biggest thing it did for me, okay?
What?
It was one of the greatest sort of explanations of it's the singer, not the song I've ever seen.
Okay.
Because, like, watching this show that is not directed by James Cameron and is set within the world of Avatar, you're like, this shit's pretty dumb.
Yes.
This shit's, like, not that cool.
Oh, boy.
And it isn't like, I mean,
it makes Pandora and the Na'vi seem real stupid. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and everyone makes fun of Avatar. And it's easy to make fun of Avatar because it's pretty primal and it's pretty, like, broad, you know?
Absolutely.
But it was always like, dude just knows how to fucking sing it, right? And you look at, like, like Avatar the movie for me, and we'll have discussed this at length in the previous episode.
Yeah, so let's not go too crazy.
But Avatar the movie for me is like Aretha Franklin singing Happy Birthday. You know?
I see.
It's like basic fucking song.
And who is this singing?
Knows how to belt
birthday?
it. This is like me singing Happy Birthday. It's just me going like, Happy Birthday to you, Happy Birthday to you.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was like...
And then you like forget a verse.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to criticize the wonderful performance of Cirque du Soleil because they all did their job very well. But it's just like the inherent material of Avatar is not that interesting. The only thing I'm interested in is James Cameron. And if James Cameron wants to tell stories that take place in Pandora, then I'm on board.
Sure, I'm interested in James Cameron's wonderful directing of action and like grasp of space and visuals.
Right.
And
Jimmy Cameron is the mother tree.
Jimmy Cameron.
Jimmy Cameron's the mother tree, and I want to plug into his vision, you know?
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, there's also another mother tree like off a rest stop in like New Jersey, and that's like Toruk the First Hunter, it's the first flight, I'm like, I don't really need to like do that. So it's like, you said like enthusiasm was waning. It definitely felt like we're at a low point in terms of cultural excitement over Avatar, right?
Right.
Perhaps as these films get closer, the excitement will ramp up, or very likely people will go into them being like, this is going to fucking suck, which also is what happened before the release of Avatar and what happened before the release of Titanic. And almost every James Cameron movie, people were like, he's going to fucking fail.
Yeah.
But then every time he just drops some fucking like November surprise on us.
And we are going to talk about this a lot on the Avatar episode that people have already listened to.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, it definitely felt like excitement had waned watching this. But I kind of, like, I feel like Slippy Jim is going to, like, slip another one past us.
You know who I think had a great time at Toruk?
Who?
I was just looking on Getty Images, and I came across some pics of Sigourney Weaver holding up SW holding up a little cardboard thing, #Toruk. And
at the premiere, I believe.
Yeah. And I tweeted it at Blank Check Podcast.
We will retweet it.
So just check it out. She looks happy to be there.
She looks great.
And I'm happy for her.
Sigourney, as we'll probably say in the last week, in the Avatar episode, she loves Avatar.
She loves Avatar.
She loves Jim.
Like, you bring me back. I don't care how. Like, I want to be in Avatar
too. She's so on board, and she threw a lot of shade at Hurt Locker for winning Best Picture. Like, she's like, Avatar, yeah. Like, she kept on being like, but like Avatar though. Yeah. So Toruk did not like.
I would say it lived up to my expectations,
which were
low.
Yeah,
they were low.
It didn't like stoke the flames of my excitement for the Avatar sequels, but it also made me like appreciate James Cameron even more.
That's a good call. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be. I would say that it did not meet my expectations. I'm not going to say that I thought it would be amazing. But
you were probably the most hyped of us all
because I love a silly, fun, tumbling show.
It was like in the overlap of the Venn diagram of everything you like.
Yeah. Silly costumes, jumping.
You
hopping.
Love sci-fi.
I love sci-fi.
Right.
I love anything related to James Cameron.
Right.
I love world music. So went into this and I felt like sort of the same way I felt when I think I was in 9th grade and my French teacher took us to see an all-French 4D production of The Tempest, which I had never read.
Cool.
And so
what is 4D?
Yeah,
I still don't know. It was mostly just projections and maybe
smells?
like a hologram. There were no smells.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to smells, and
did you get sprayed with water?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
I just got it was just projections. So, but anyway, that's what this felt like. Pretty underwhelmed.
Right.
Let's also say that the music was not done by James Horner, who has died.
R.I.P. James.
But they also didn't reuse his themes.
No,
like they
I
just
wish they had.
Music.
His music
sounded
is good.
Avatar-y.
His music is not good.
This music was pretty because I had the soundtrack for sale, and I was like, it just feels like stuff they would play while you were getting a massage.
Right.
Like it doesn't really have any real kind of emotional waves or hooks to it.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of ambient, elevator music.
Right.
But there was one track they played on repeat after the show ended when we were it was hard to get out of the theater because there were a lot of people, right? And they just kept on playing a loop this thing that was da wa da da.
Yeah,
da wa da te, da wa da ta, da wa da te, da wa da ta, and it was just that just cycling over
really
and over
catchy.
again. But it was really catchy, and I haven't been able to get it out of my head.
Okay.
And then there was a notification the second we walked out of the Barclays Center being like, hey, download an exclusive track on the Toruk app.
And a lot of you had already deleted the app.
Yeah, I deleted the app before I got out of the building.
All right, we're done.
That was Toruk the First Flight.
Yeah.
This has been the final episode of...
I didn't get to share my final thoughts.
Ben, final thoughts.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, all right. So they used to do these kinds of shows on ice.
Yes.
And now they're doing tumbling and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the next thing?
The sky.
Exactly.
This was a show about the sky.
I mean, this was starting to get into, tipping our hat to the future, which is, make it airborne, baby. Because, we had Toruk flying, but, a lot of it was literally grounded,
Right.
Yeah.
I'll say this. If, they had hired me to conceptualize an Avatar-inspired Cirque du Soleil show, I would have gone, don't even try to do a narrative.
Sure.
This isn't your strong suit. You're going to be reined in by what you can and cannot do within the confines of what Cameron is trying to plan out for the future of this franchise. Do a fucking, walk in with dinosaurs experiential thing. When we walked in and the storyteller was, explaining the rituals that we were seeing and it was just, Na'vi doing Na'vi shit, I was like, if you do this, but you do it to the nines and you make it really dramatic and you just have, here's a fucking hunting scene. Here's, their food. Here's, their this, the prayer. And you just show me, hyper-visual, physical things for, 82 minutes, I would have, been more down than this, where it felt like at times they had to, pay service to the story, which was already so, secondary that it was move it along.
Yeah.
But I still give it a gentleman's 6.
Right. I'd give it an F-. That's what I gave it.
This has been...
out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10. You can be a letter or a number.
Ooh. Ooh.
Like a D out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a C-.
Great.
Experientially, it was great, though. We had a great time.
I think it was a nice little evening.
It definitely was.
Yep.
This has been
I city biked home.
Podnator Judgment Cast?
This has been Podnator Judgment Cast. What are we doing next?
I don't know. And we have no final thoughts because we haven't seen the other movie, so we don't have...
Well, we've seen the other movies.
Well, but I'm saying, we go on this journey, and by the end of watching all these movies in a short period of time, we have some sort of summation thoughts. We'll have those in our Avatar episode.
Let's predict the election results.
No.
Oh, Jesus
Will
Christ.
this drop after the election?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck.
I don't even want to talk
Oh my
about
God,
it.
during this show, okay, I had my phone, last thing.
Yeah.
I had my phone out to use the app, and I got a New York Times alert that Hillary Clinton had pneumonia, and I would say that it colored the second act of the show for me.
This was the morning, the day of the fainting.
Yeah,
in the car,
sort of
obviously.
scary
Yeah,
video of
right.
her.
Never forget.
So I don't even want to talk about it. My heart's actually like
I'm
beating
getting
a little
uncomfortable
faster.
thinking about
so
having
I
to
hope
live.
that I'm going to listen back to this episode and laugh and be like, oh God, we were so worried, but things turned out okay. But maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be in a very bleak world.
I mean, the question is, will the earthquake, metaphorically open up the volcano and create a lava world in which we can no longer live? Or will, metaphorically, a Toruk come down from the sky and pat it gently and, if not ultimately resolve everything, just allow things to maintain a status quo?
Tap its wing into the
Just,
lava.
I'm actually really alarmed. I don't like it.
I don't
and I'm excited for whatever filmmaker we decide to talk about next, I guess.
Yeah, look, I
Who's it
mean,
gonna be?
we have a couple people we've talked about.
Yeah.
We'll do a Twitter poll between the time that we record this and when the thing will happen. And
Yeah.
hopefully the episode before this one, we will announce something, and you'll be annoyed that you're listening to this part where we don't know.
Or hopefully it just is the apocalypse. So
Yeah, then that'll save us a lot of work.
guys.
We won't have to record episodes if
bad.
the world has ended.
yeah, there won't be any
Rachel's
power.
I wanna cry.
Rachel's making a face. All right. Bad note to end on. Good note. James Cameron's great. Medium note. Cirque du Soleil is whatever.
Right.
Great.
Yes. Tune in next week for the first episode of Pod Dogs, our miniseries about the films of Walt Becker.
Absolutely not. No, next week will be Ben's choice.
There's some other one-off ideas we've talked about.
Okay.
I'll just throw this out.
Fine.
We have talked about. I do want to at some point do episodes devoted to THX 1138 and American Graffiti because Lucas is the only filmmaker that we haven't covered in totality because we just were doing the Star Wars movies, and I'd love to do his 2 Star Wars movies someday.
Well, maybe we will.
Maybe we will. I don't know. I love you folks so much.
Love you back.
Love you.
I love my blankies. Do you know there's a Reddit group?
What?
Someone's-
For a blank check?
Someone created a blank check Reddit group, and there's one post in it, and it hasn't been responded to at all. So I just want to start directing people to the blank check Reddit group.
What is it?
It's maybe r/blank check pod.
That didn't work.
Is it all about living in the blank check
Blankies?
universe and never leaving?
Yeah, that's the goal.
There is a blank check Reddit, but it's about the film Blank Check.
There is one for our podcast. It might be /blankies.
I got it. It's reddit.com
Yeah.
/r/blankies.
Yep, there you
Oh.
go. Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty good grab.
Yeah.
Great. Everyone go to
Just
reddit.com
post.
/
Yeah, keep supporting us. We appreciate it a lot. And hopefully exciting stuff coming in the future, including new miniseries, new pod cleansers. Who knows? Sky's the limit. We're like Toruk, flying up into the sun. Thank you for listening. And as always,
Yes.
I really, really hope Donald Trump wasn't elected president.
Agreed. We just heard that the 9th floor of the UCB is going to conduct a fire drill, so that's good.
We don't have to,
Great. Good.
Great.
Ed,
Okay,
good,
cool.
good,
So
good.
we're going to not do that.
but
Leave that in.
It's gonna go off. So
Yeah.
Cool. How's that going to be for us?
Well,
Oh,
there we go.
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
Cool.
Ben, you can put this at the end, maybe.
This is a lot like being at Toruk the first flight.
you know what?
Definitely.
Actually, yeah.
So this this is a rare morning of recording for us. I overslept in that I woke up a minute after we were supposed to start recording.
Yeah.
Got here almost an hour late,
Yeah.
and then now there's a fire drill.
You know, these things happen. It's how it works at
Yeah.
the Manhattan office buildings, and that's the thing, and that's how it goes.
I will say that is the shortest fire drill.
It was pretty
siren.
short.
They did one blare.
All right, let's get back into the thing.
This has been a UCB Comedy production. Check out our other shows on the UCB Comedy Podcast Network.